Cognitive dissonance. How it feels when your integrity costs you everything. Hi, I'm Kelly and I'm a counsellor, and I want to speak directly to women who've had to make impossible choices. The kind of choices that pit your values against your relationships, the truth against your safety, and your integrity against your belonging. And if you've ever told the truth and lost everything, or if you're living with the internal chaos that comes when your values and your outcomes don't match, then this is for you. We're going to talk about cognitive dissonance, not just the theory, but how it feels when you choose integrity and it costs you everything. So what is cognitive dissonance? You'll have heard the term, but have you really thought about what it means? Cognitive dissonance is the psychological discomfort we feel when we hold two conflicting beliefs or when our actions contradict our values. It's the mental tension that arises when we want to be seen as good, kind and honest, but we're faced with choices that make us question whether we're any of those things. So it can show up when you're standing up for something that you believe in and the people that you love turn their backs on you. When you speak an unpopular truth and are branded difficult, dangerous or disloyal. You set a boundary and you're told you're selfish. Or you say nothing and you feel like you're betraying yourself. When your inner truth and your outer reality don't align, your nervous system goes into overdrive. You might feel sick, anxious, shaky, stuck or numb, and the internal question becomes, if doing what's right has brought me so much pain, was it really right? What does it feel like to live with that conflict? Well, when you make a decision that's aligned with your values, but it leads to painful consequences, your body and mind can feel like you're at war. Maybe you spoke up against misogyny, or you left a toxic workplace, or you questioned a political ideology you once supported, and now you've lost your job, or your community, sometimes even your family. You're left with this deep inner ache. It's not just grief, but it's confusion, because your logical mind knows that you made the right call, but emotionally, you feel like you're being punished for doing it. So this is cognitive dissonance in real time, that spinning feeling in your chest, the inability to rest, the racing thoughts, the second guessing, the what ifs. And somewhere in the middle of that contradiction is where the suffering is. Women's socialisation and the cost of integrity. Now, women are especially vulnerable to this kind of dissonance because we're taught from a young age that being agreeable, kind and selfless is what makes us valuable. So when we act from integrity and it creates conflict, we don't just feel sad, we feel bad. Bad for speaking up, bad for walking away, bad for naming abuse, bad for having needs. And even if you know that what you did was brave or necessary, the guilt can be overwhelming. And that's because integrity for many women often collides with deeply ingrained social roles like the good daughter, the loyal wife, the helpful employee, the silent woman. And when you step outside of those roles, even to protect your own soul, the fallout can feel unbearable. But what if the pain isn't a sign that you did something wrong? What if it's a sign that you're healing? Dissonance can trap you in trauma. Cognitive dissonance doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it can be traumatizing when our sense of reality is shaken and when people we trusted turn on us, or when our actions bring shame and blame rather than support. We start to lose our grip on our own truth. And this is especially true if you are gaslit, manipulated or punished for having a different perspective. Your mind starts cycling. Did I overreact? Was I too extreme? Maybe I should have just kept quiet. Maybe I should have said it in a different way. And that self-doubt is a trauma response. You're trying to make sense of a world that says that when you speak it's too much, that your honesty's harmful and your pain's inconvenient. And in counselling I see this all the time. It's women stuck in emotional paralysis because they were punished for standing in their integrity, and they're not broken, they're just trapped in a system that tells them that surviving on their own terms is betrayal. But here's the truth. The cost of betraying yourself is always higher than the cost of disappointing others. And what we need to do is heal from the fallout. So what can you do when the cost of your values feels unbearable? First, you need to validate the conflict. Don't rush to resolve it. Sit with the complexity. You can grieve what you lost and feel proud of what you stood for. Those things can coexist. The second thing to do is to reconnect with your inner self. because when the world outside tells you you're wrong, tuning into your own bodies, your own memories, and your own voice becomes radical. Your intuition isn't broken, it just needs space to breathe again. The third thing to do is to seek connection with people who don't require you to be silent to love you. That might mean rebuilding your network from scratch, and that's okay because you are not too much. You are just in the wrong room. And finally, give yourself time. Integrity is a long game. Sometimes it looks like loss in the short term, but in the long run, it creates something unshakable. A life that actually belongs to you. What I offer as a counsellor, if this resonates with you, and if you're carrying the emotional weight of having done the right thing and lost everything, I want you to know that you don't have to carry it on your own. I work with women who faced personal and public backlash for living authentically. I create space for processing the grief of lost relationships or reputations, rebuilding trust in yourself after gaslighting or betrayal, working through trauma, shame and guilt, and ultimately helping you to reconnect with your own voice without fear. You don't have to have all the answers, you just have to be willing to start listening to your own truth again, without distortion, without judgment, and without pressure to make it palatable to others. And that's what I offer. A space where your integrity is not a threat. It's a starting point for healing. And sometimes integrity is quiet. Sometimes it costs you your place at the table. And sometimes it shatters the version of your life that you thought you had. But what comes after that, the clarity, the peace, and the realness, it's worth it. If you're navigating the disorientation of living with cognitive dissonance, of holding fast to your values while everything else falls apart, I want you to know that I support you. You can visit my website at kellyoliverdougall.co.uk to learn more about my counselling service or to reach out for a confidential consultation. You don't have to go back to who you were before, and you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You're allowed to be whole, even if the truth that you spoke made other people uncomfortable. Thank you for watching, and thank you for staying true to yourself even when it hurt, because the world needs you, and the world needs you to speak and to be heard.